Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this video is going to be my take on the astrology for September 2025. And of course, September 2025 is an eclipse month. We have two eclipses, one in Pisces, the other in Virgo. And that Virgo eclipse is the second new moon in a row for Virgo. We also have the fall equinox that's happening this month as well. So we're going to cover all those things in this video. Towards the end of the video, I will do all the sun signs and or ascendants. You pick whatever really resonates with you. I suggest you actually listen or watch both. Your ascendant to start off with, and then your sun sign. Both are important. Now, the other thing that we've got happening in terms of transits, we have Venus that will be in Leo pretty well the first half of September. And really, this is going to be exerting some, just a really nice energy with regards to authentically expressing ourselves to start off with, but also authentically expressing ourselves through love, right? Maybe even through children. These are all areas that are ruled by Leo. But there could be some folks also that attract in a creative project, maybe even attract in some money associated with a creative project as well. And then, of course, the second half of September, that Venus will go on into Virgo, and Virgo is very concerned about health. It's service-oriented. It also can represent small animals, for instance. So all these things may take on a different hue the latter half of September. And of course, also Virgo likes to collect important information. So this is the other thing more on a global standpoint or that type of thing, where maybe we will see important information come out the latter half of September. We have Uranus that will be turning retrograde just prior to the eclipse on the 6th of September. And that's going to be around that 1 degree mark of Gemini. And it will go back into Taurus, just the latter degrees of Taurus, but that'll be a final time. And then it'll be next year more fully ensconced in the sign of Gemini. And of course, Uranus going retrograde will join 3 other planets that are already retrograde, and that's Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. On the 3rd till approximately the 6th of September, we have a beautiful transit of a trine between Jupiter and the North Nodes in Pisces. This is a beautiful setup. It really is. It's really helping us shine a light, maybe helping us even provide some growth with regards to our destiny path, especially our collective destiny. And if we look at Jupiter applying also to potentially foreign places, especially from a standpoint of, say, for us in a Western world, this can also have a new sort of positive introduction of something in a new destiny path for foreign nations as well. A trine tends to be easy energy, generally speaking. And then, of course, as that is happening and shining nicely and exerting some beautiful energy, we have the moon slipping the next day, the 7th of September, into that total full moon eclipse at 15 of Pisces. That will be at 11:09 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that particular full moon falls into what's called the second decan of Pisces. And that is actually ruled by the moon. So it's interesting. To me, this adds that extra piece of information with regards to how are we going to be responding or feeling at this total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. And I would say there's going to be an emotional element here, maybe even a little bit of instability. That sort of thing could be coming into play here. But also there may be some focus on females, especially, say, motherhood of some sort as well. Daily habits could be up here. The moon can also represent, our family, our mother, that type of thing. So there may be more emphasis on that, especially from a global standpoint or a collective standpoint at that total full moon. But I'll delve into the details of this full moon eclipse next. The moon at this time will be conjunct the north nodes. So even though this is a full moon, that moon conjunct the north nodes really is saying to me, it's pointing at our collective destiny. And certainly if you have something around this, pay attention to what is illuminated at this time. Just because it's a full moon doesn't mean things are all going to end. It's because it's an eclipse. It can go either way. But generally speaking, full moons are endings, but they're also big illuminations, right? Think about that full moon, what it looks like. And so I see this as a big illumination of our collective destiny. And whatever happens around this, there's a big sort of sign that's saying, go here on this path if you want to stay on the right destiny path for yourself. And that's because that moon conjuncts the north nodes. So I think it's a new start. And if we take it out to the collective, that moon can represent the people. So this can be a whole new start for some people. The only thing is that this is both these moon and north nodes are in Pisces. And Pisces has another side to itself, right? It can bring in deception. It can also bring the energy of dissolving things. So there may be something dissolved around this time too, that has something to do with the people. Now, the other thing that this can bring in too, because Neptune rules the sea and water, it rules lots of things, but we'll just stick with the water here. I would say there could be some real water issues going on. So floods, torrential rains, that sort of thing, right? Could be occurring around this full moon, and a big illumination put in on our climate. Now we have Mercury conjunct the sun, as well as the south node, opposing the moon, right, and the north node. So again, this to me also suggests that, because that's in Virgo, right, Virgo rules health, amongst other things, this also to me emphasizes a health crisis from the past. And as I mentioned earlier, we already have stuff happening where things were eliminated pretty well from society, and now they're coming back. So that's going to be, I think, also an issue here too. Now, Jupiter is going to be squaring Mars at this time too. And the other thing, this full moon is going to be on a star called Sheat. And Sheat has a number of different things around it, depending if you want to use the really old version or the more modern one. But generally speaking, it does refer to greater mental activity. It talks about the intellect and logic, as opposed to emotional stuff, right? But it can also bring great misfortune. And with that Jupiter square Mars, that says to me that there may also be somebody wanting to take action, but again, the law coming in here saying, no, you can't do that, and somehow it being stopped. Now, the other thing that Libra can represent, and that's the Mars in Libra now, right, is diplomatic relations. And so there just may be some obstacles that have to be surmounted before greater emphasis and development can be put on diplomatic relations, right? When we look at the Sabian symbol for this Pisces eclipse, it says, and so we're looking at 16 degrees of Pisces, you always round up. It says, in the quiet of his study, a creative person experiences a flow of inspiration. And so this suggests, especially on a personal level, that's how I really read this, that you really need to quiet the mind in order for the creative process to actually develop and become something, right? To become tangible. The other thing that this can say, if I look at it more negatively, is there's going to be someone that refuses to listen about anything. They're just going to do what they want to do. And so that's the other part, where you could have inspiration and come up with something quite creative. There may also be someone who decides they don't want to do that. And in some ways, this is supported by Uranus, that will be sextiling Neptune, and trining Pluto. So this whole, it's a nice aspects when you've got sextiles and trines, but these are powerful planets we're talking about. And especially Uranus always brings in some kind of unexpected surprise, but it's also radical. That Uranus can be very radical. And then when you combine it with the Pluto, it's to me saying radical transformation here is required in order for us to achieve our ideals. The ideals is the Neptune part. Now, this can also bring in unexpected, fabulous pieces of art, a dance. Spirituality can be brought up here at this time. Even we can look at breakthroughs in, treating psychological problems can be brought in here too. And the psychological problems can be represented by both Neptune and certainly Pluto, right? And that's a trine that's happening here. So opportunities to treat, untoward, previously unable to treat psychological problems. And I know I keep an eye on this, and there is some very interesting beginnings of research in this area, and I suspect they're going to come out at this time as big breakthroughs. But if you are involved in any kind of creative project, so that's film, that's art, dance, music of any sort, this eclipse could bring in some fabulous inspiration for you. A tangible, not you get the inspiration, but then you produce it, right? Yeah. So the next eclipse that we have is going to be a new moon in Virgo, and it's at 29 degrees of Virgo. So this is the second new moon in a row for Virgo. The only thing that's different is the degrees. So in August, the degree point for the new moon was 0 degrees of Virgo. Now we're hurtling forward to the end of the sign of Virgo, and we're now at 29 degrees of Virgo. And even though this is a new moon, and certainly if you've got anything, say, around that 29 degrees of Virgo, this could actually be a second new start for you in some way, but more significant than the new moon that was in August, because of course this is an eclipse. And if you've got something around that 29 degree mark, you may actually have an effect from this eclipse right the way through the next 6 months. So the final eclipse that's going to be happening in 2025 is nicely going to be a new moon eclipse. It will be at 29 Virgo, 5 minutes on the 21st of September at 12:54 p.m. on that specific time. So there's a few things that are juxtaposed here. For those advanced students that know that 29 degrees of any sign really brings a big focus to the sign's qualities, that degree is a critical degree. It's called an anaretic degree. So even though this is a new moon eclipse in Virgo, that 29 degrees also brings a little bit of a finality to it too, to anything to do with Virgo type things. And we talked already about health. So we may have some solution here that comes to light because it's a new moon with regards to a health problem. But it can also bring to light a new opportunity to deal with some important facts that come to light at this eclipse around the 21st of September 2025. Now we have the sun and the moon together. That's a new moon. And it'll be conjunct Mercury just into Libra at this time. And so this says to me, important facts are going to be brought up our way with regards to probably diplomacy, the legal profession, that type of thing, right? Now, in some respects, that Libra can also represent, manners and, being nice to people as well. And Venus, of course, rules Libra. Now, although Venus doesn't rule this eclipse, it's Mercury that rules it. So you need to pay attention where Mercury is. And we just spoke about that. Venus is at 2 degrees of Virgo, not its favorite sign to be in, but importantly, it will be squaring newly minted Uranus in Gemini. And so this brings up, I would say there may be some challenges with regards to money. I think that's what Venus is representing here. It can also, though, represent females, for sure, where females speak out and give important facts, and they're not afraid about being a little radical about it or, upsetting the apple cart here. But I'm thinking that this is more money. Unexpected challenges with regard to money come to light with Uranus being in Gemini now, right? Now, that sun and moon will be opposite Saturn. And so to me, this also suggests that, again, those with the rules and regulations, the old institutions are going to be influencing this new start in some way. And maybe even putting a delay on things of some sort, right? We have Mars at 29 degrees of Libra too. So this brings in an element of laws being forced upon people. That's what I'm getting here, because don't forget that 29 degrees an anaretic degree, and it kind of squishes down and condenses all that energy of Libra. And so Mars is action, and then we've got the laws here. So this is putting the laws on people, the laws on things. I'm almost thinking also forcing diplomacy, which is kind of the opposite of what diplomacy is. Yeah. That Mars also widely squares Pluto, right? Because it's at 29 degrees, almost 1 degree of Scorpio. It'll square that Pluto, which I believe at this time is around 3 degrees. Let me just double check that. No, Pluto is retrograded back to 1 degree. So that really is a square, a full-on square. Now, at this new moon eclipse, we also have the eclipsed moon on a star called Denobula. And Denobula speaks to daring activities along with quick judgment, but this could lead to despair and regret. So if you have anything around this degree point of 29 degrees Virgo or 29 degrees of Pisces, just take care with whatever judgments you're making and whatever decisions that you want to make, especially decisions where you want to act right now. I would suggest that you take a breath and actually consider what you're doing here, right? It doesn't mean you shouldn't take action of some sort. It just says for sure with that star, Denobula, I would say you need to weigh things carefully and maybe even seek some advice. Nicely, we're going to have Jupiter in Cancer now in September, trining the North Node and sextiling the South Node. So to me, this is giving some real positive energy with regards to any new destiny path to do with Cancer-related things. So this is, motherhood. This is the homeland. This is our family, our mother, right? So that's a nice energy that's going to be going in there. The other two nice energies that we have is Neptune is going to be sextiling Pluto, And Uranus will be sextiling Pluto at this new moon eclipse. So this also suggests to me that there will be some opportunities here to make some real changes, real positive transformational change. When we look at that Sabian symbol, it says 4. So the 29 degrees becomes 30 degrees for the Sabian symbol when you round up the 29 degrees 05 of Virgo. So 30 degrees of Virgo says, totally intent on a task, a man is deaf to any allurement. Therefore, any intentional and decision or event. So I would say that this kind of backs up what I was saying with that star, the effect of that star on this eclipse. It's a person who's like single-mindedly, so this is going to be probably for the collective, although individually this could happen to you too. The single-mindedness of, I'm going to do this. This is going to be what we're doing. And just not paying attention to anything, being deaf to any allurement. So I suppose just be aware of that on an individual basis. Seek out advice. It doesn't mean you got to take it, but sometimes getting advice or just rethinking things can actually help out with this new start for you. Now, we've got 2 yods occurring as well here, right? So, we've got 2 yods occurring. And it's interesting, it's rare to have 2 yods at an eclipse, but this final eclipse has it. So what is it? The 2 planets that are at the base are Uranus, that's going to be in Gemini now, and Neptune, that will be in Aries. And they're pointing to that Mars at 29 degrees of Libra, right? Remembering that 29 degrees is an anaretic degree. It focuses and concentrates the energy of Mars and Libra. So this says to me, action, Mars, which is the featured planet here, through opportunities potentially in diplomacy and utilizing the law. Now, the other thing that Mars is going to be doing, it's going to be opposite Chiron. So there could also be an emphasis here on having to take some action with regards to some big health issues. And I think that's on a global stage. But again, this is bringing in this yod, laws, right? Diplomacy. The other yod has the 2 base planets of Neptune in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius, pointing to Venus at 2 degrees of Virgo. So this refers to, I think, money again. There's going to be some powerful transformation here with regards to our money on a global stage. Important information is going to come out about it. Now, Virgo, as a sign, is on the conservative side, but it likes to get things right, and it tends to be, or can be, insistent on everything being perfect, everything being right. But that Pluto and Neptune energy is asking for transformation here, right? To move forward with something regarding our money. But this could also feature literally a female or female things, right? Or the feminine is highlighted here. Now that Venus that both that Neptune and Pluto are pointing at in this yod is square Uranus. So I would say that there's going to be some energy here that is going to be challenging unexpectedly to fit in this new way we look at money. But like I said, this could be a new way we look at the feminine, or we look at literally a female. And the other thing that's going to be happening here is, I'll just take a look to see exactly when it is. I talked about Venus being in Leo the first half and then Venus going into Virgo. So it will be important when Venus gets to 29 degrees when it actually aspects this eclipse that I'm just talking about now. Let's just see when that is. So that's going to be the following month of October, and I'll talk about it then. But we're looking at probably the 13th of October. For those especially that have something around that 29-degree mark, Venus will then aspect that. And Venus tends to take the rough edges off things, soften things nicely. It could bring in maybe that new start for some of these folks that are watching, brings money in October for you. Maybe even brings something to do with love or your value, right? But it is related to the eclipse on the 21st of September. Now, the decan that is involved here with this eclipse is the third decan, and that is ruled by Venus. So again, this kind of emphasizes to me that we need to pay attention in October as well with regards to whatever the newness is that comes out at this eclipse in Virgo on the 21st of September. You'll have a reactivation in October. The Venus part of it, as I mentioned, associated with the eclipse itself, I would say, again, this softens any hard edges. It can bring in love. It can bring in greater value for you. It can bring in money for you. That type of thing can certainly come in. And I like this effect because if we think about it, the new moon always has the moon and the sun together. So the moon and the sun in Virgo really emphasizes Virgo type things. And then having this Venus offsetting it a bit makes things a little more palatable. So let's just say at this eclipse, on a global stage or collective standpoint, we have more information coming out, maybe more critical information coming out. And personally, we may enter into an analysis paralysis. Well, Venus will help pull us out of that and make it a little softer and maybe not so serious. So I do like this new moon eclipse. The only thing I've got to say is that 29 degrees, just like the 0 degrees, are critical degrees. But differently, that 29 degrees is a culmination. It's wrapping up the Virgo energies, right? And so in some ways, although this is a new moon, that 29 degree also says this is a wrap up of some sort. And it can intensify Virgo type things. And as I mentioned, those Virgo type things can be analysis paralysis. It can be too much attention to the details. But favorably, it can also bring up a new light on information coming in, either personally or on the global stage, and that's collectively, right? So right after that, on the next day, on the 22nd of September, we have the fall or autumnal equinox come in here. And what's interesting, even in one day, we have everything now shifting into Libra, right? So we have the sun, we have the moon, and we have Mercury all in Libra at this fall equinox. And so this really emphasizes things that are Libran, and that's legal matters. That is diplomacy, maybe at an all-time high. And this effect, of course, will last for a few months till we enter into the winter solstice, and we have a new set of things coming our way. Yeah, and I mean, on a personal basis, that equinox can, if you have, say, something around the degrees, and you can see the chart up here, you can take a look at where the sun, the moon, and the Mercury is in Libra. If you've got something around those degrees, you may be affected by this. And the effect may last for a little while, but you may be trying to balance things in your life as well. Harmony is sought out when we're talking about Libra too. I've just put a picture up here that I took when I volunteered my services at the San Diego Astrological Society Bazaar that happened in August. I sure appreciate everybody coming out. I think it was a really successful event for the society. And in fact, I'm going to be going to the San Diego Astrological Society in September. It's going to be Friday, the 12th of September, around 7 p.m. And of course, that's in San Diego. I will be giving a lecture on decans. And I'm just putting a request out to my viewers as well as my clients and as well as people who will be attending the lecture. If you would like me to take a look at your chart, I'm going to be having an interactive session, probably half of my lecture, looking at either the sun, the moon, and the ascendant, or maybe all three, in people's personal natal chart, and helping folks understand how you can add that information in to get a better understanding of things in your chart as well when you use the decan itself. So I'm going to take the first 10 charts. You can send that to elpisastrology@gmail.com. I will put up that email here for you so you can go directly into it. But feel free, if you're watching this and it is before the 12th of September, you can actually send that in to me. And we will record this lecture and I will post it up on YouTube so you can take a look at whatever I analyzed in your chart from a decan standpoint, right? So when we look at the October 2025 astrological little peek, we're going to have a full moon in Aries, a new moon in Libra. Mercury will be in detective mode Scorpio, and Pluto will go direct at that time. So let's move on to a look at your personal ascendant and or sun sign. So Cancer. Well, Cancer, you still have Jupiter in your sign, exuding, fabulous, expanding growth for you. It can also be bringing in advisors and or specialists that can give you information that makes your life better. But generally speaking, Jupiter in your sign is a very lucky thing. Jupiter just likes to bring you gifts and benefits and likes to shine a light on areas of your life where you're going to grow, and then it helps you grow as well. Now, the negative part of it is, for some Cancers, Jupiter can make you grow physically. Now, in some folks, that may be growth due to being pregnant. You can think about that. Let's get to the eclipses. So that total full moon eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces is a fellow water sign, right? So we know it trines you. The trine just sets up easy moving energy at this eclipse, and it affects your 9th house. The 9th house, it covers a lot of things, the 9th house. Certainly, Cancer, if you were going to be taking a trip at this time, this is a fabulous setup for you to take a trip, no question of it. Especially a trip, say, either over water or around water. It also spells out favorable things legally if you're involved in some kind of legal, activity of some sort. The trine will bring favorable things your way. It also brings in just a very favorable pattern that has to do with foreign people, foreign lands, that type of thing. For those Cancers that are dealing with that, this is a favorable setup for you in that regard. The 9th house is also publishing. So for those Cancers that maybe have been writing things, this sets up maybe someone coming to you saying, I'll publish that for you, no problem. Now it is a full moon, so it's a wrap up. So there may be, I would say probably some Cancers have been negotiating in one or all these areas that I've just mentioned. And this is the wrap up. This brings a concluding energy for you, right? Now, when we look at the second eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo, it's on the 21st of September. Well, that sextiles your sign Cancer, and it affects your 3rd house. And so the sextile is a more milder type of transit. It brings you opportunities, whether you want to take them or not. But this is a favorable aspect, right? And the 3rd house, it says there may be some favorable communications of some sort. Maybe as a result of getting something published, you have communications coming through on that next eclipse, which is a new moon, that favorably support whatever you got published. And this doesn't have to be a big tome of some sort that you get published. It could be just maybe something at work that you've been working on is finished off, you published, and then you get this great feedback when people start reading it. that maybe give you new opportunities to write more things. Third house can be writing, right? But it's also communications of any sort. So this is what I'm saying. New opportunities are going to come through with regards to communication. So make sure you're checking your text messages, your emails, and your mail for that matter as well. Especially around that 21st of September, you may have some new opportunities coming your way. Now, it also affects neighbors and your siblings. And again, this is favorable, new opportunities to communicate with both those groups of people. It's also sales and commerce. So there's going to be some Cancers that maybe get a new opportunity to get a sales and commerce project off the ground. Take care, Cancer. All right, everybody, that's it for me. A pretty powerful month, September. So I'm wishing everybody, as always, all the best, sending you lots of love. I am always open to hearing your comments. I love to do people's chart, to talk astrology and or tarot as well. All my services are below. It might be a good time to actually look at what's up for me next year, right? And I will be doing, as I do every year, a video for the whole year. And then I do each of your signs and or ascendants. But it's always good to get something, personalized for you as well. Might be something for some of my viewers to do once you go through this month of September. Wishing everybody all the best. Please take good care of yourself, and bye for now.